Hague.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he have confidence in all his ministers?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, because they are a group of competent, hard-working, energetic ministers who are delivering a stronger economy, a safer community, better public education, cleaner water, more support for the most vulnerable and a massive rebuild in Christchurch.
Supplementary question,
Mr Speaker, yes.
Kevin Hague.
Is he confident that his ministers are delivering the results that matter for New Zealanders, given that 1 in 4 children is living in poverty, unemployment is as high today as when the recession ended 4 years ago, more kids than ever are going to hospital with preventable diseases, New Zealand is plummeting down the education rankings, over 60% of rivers are unsafe to swim in, greenhouse emissions are on the rise, the ultra-fast broadband rollout is in crisis, and the asset sales have been a costly disaster?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I appreciate the Greens have a different view of progress than the National Party does. And that is their view of progress is anything that looks like another job for another person is pollution and should be stopped. And they're very consistent about that. We, however, do believe we've made progress. There's 53,000 more jobs in the New Zealand economy than last year, and the Greens, I think, opposed probably every decision that was related to those new jobs. And I just want to say to those New Zealanders who are benefiting from those 53,000 jobs, we're right behind you. The Greens are trying to stop you, and they'll decide how to vote next year.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Well then, who does he rate as his best performing minister? Would it be the Minister of Finance, who managed to turn $6 billion worth of public assets into $4 billion of cash, losing money for everyone along the way except the brokers, lawyers and admin? The Minister of Education, who has overseen a record drop in our kids' international achievement ranking? Would it be the Minister of Economic Development, whose Sky City deal was described by the Auditor General as poorly planned and executed? Could it be the Minister of Earthquake Recovery, who seems to spend most of his time losing court cases to Cantabrians who just want a fair deal?
Bring the question to a close, please.
Well, I'll just
bring the question to a conclusion.
Well, Mr Speaker, or alternatively the Minister of Social Development, who cares so much about child poverty that she can't bear to know how many children are suffering it.
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, as I said before, we might have a different view of ministers' progress. Certainly on behalf of the Prime Minister, all those ministers have made fantastic progress in their portfolios. If the Prime Minister was here, though, he'd probably, I think if he was asked to say who was the most competent, he'd probably say the Minister of Finance, but the Minister of Social Development says she's better.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Does the Prime Minister have confidence in his own ability to choose able ministers, given that this year he's had to sack ministers from 2 of his support parties? And isn't it true that to lose one support party minister may be regarded as a misfortune, but to lose both looks very much like carelessness?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I think most New Zealanders are familiar with the idea that the Prime Minister is not uncomfortable with discussing his pretty special capacities to carry out most political tasks, including his selecting his ministers, and that is why he remains today the most popular Prime Minister consistently that New Zealand has ever had.
Order. Order. The House comes to questions to MEP. Point of order.
Speaker,
Right Honourable Winston Peters.
I know this is coming late in the piece for this year, but one of you could consider the propriety of people clapping like that every time some minister vaguely tries to answer a question. No, you will not.
Order. It is a point of order.
You won't see it in other respectable Western parliaments, and it's a habit that's creeping in from one side of the House.
Order. 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 The member has asked me to consider that matter, and I will. Question to members. Number one, Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.